Hey guys, good morning. I welcome you all again in our today's session. So we'll be talking about our the lead code problem. So we'll be actually solving the problems live, right? So in our previous stream also we discussed about a couple of problems, right? So we did solve two problems. Let's see some of the other problems as well, right? So I hope people have started joining in for our discussion. And as always, any questions, any concerns uh, from anywhere, so we can take that. Hey Ankit, thank you so much for joining in. Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. Yeah, thank you so much for that. Hello Kunak, thank you for joining in. Cool. So again, guys, just a heads up. So if anybody has any concerns regarding the queries regarding anything, right? So even from the job perspective, do put up your questions in the chat. Let's utilize the time and let's talk to each other, right? So we'll do that. Before proceeding further, as always, let's start with our basic introduction. So it's a different stream now. So as you know, guys, my name is Arpit Jain and I'm a senior data scientist myself. And along with that, I also have 9 years of industry experience where I've been part of multiple organizations. So I was with a bank earlier, then and then and the manufacturing, automobile, and then right now I'm in telecommunication, right? Thank you so much, Ankit, for that. And if you feel that you're getting benefited, so that's the least which I can expect. So you can always like and share the videos with your colleagues and friends, right? So that's thank you so much for that, and I'm so glad that you're getting benefited by that, right? Okay, cool. Coming back, so yeah, as you know, I am a data scientist, and along with that, I have 9 years of experience. I'm also a motivational speaker, guys. So I talk to students regarding their careers. I take mentorships and I guide them regarding their jobs. So any concerns regarding their jobs also, you can always put up your queries in the chat. So we can always take that. As part of our subjects in the playlist, so we'll be talking about Python, SQL, and data science. So Python, I think we have started about more than a couple of months back. And then we are right now doing a lot of problem solving on that. So we are doing problem solving on say hacker ranks and lead codes for our actual interview problems for the competitive programmings, right? So we are doing that. And also SQL, we started about a month and a half back. We finished the concepts and we are into the problem solving again. So SQL and Python are all about problem solving, guys. So the more you practice, more comfortable you will be. So if you ask me the question like how long that will go and how long will we be learning this, so the concept side is pretty much like I would say in SQL is pretty much over, right? So now with every passing day, we are learning. We are just kind of enriching our skill, enriching our knowledge in SQL by practicing more. Right? So that's what we're doing. And from the data science perspective, we also started that. So we finished visualization and then we're into NLP. I think the live demo is pending, so we'll do that on Monday at 10 p.m. Cool. But before proceeding further, we have a code right in front of the screen, guys, which is Python 10. So if you're going to use the code Python 10, you're going to get a free Relevel sample test paper, right? So how does it work, guys? So many times candidates do miss out on the great opportunities and due to multiple reasons, and it could be like they don't have a better degree and in fact they don't have the right set of networking. So by better degree I mean not having a decent degree from a tier A university. Is also the poor networking means that you don't have the right set of people to ask for referrals, right? So that could be the potential case. uh, uh, Prameya, I'll come back to your question. Just let me wrap up this mandatory promotion part quickly and I'll come back to your question. Okay. Okay, so and also the resumes with which you are applying might not really stand out. So there are at least 100 other applicants for the same job, right? And that there might be some issue in the resume or something which is totally beyond your control. And also you are having at least applying to at least 50, 60 odd jobs, and be more than that. You're still not getting even a single interview call. Very practical problem. I would say everybody almost faces that. And to cater these only, Relevel has been introduced, which is one of the India's first test hiring platform by Unacademy, right? Which is helping you to get your dream job, right? So how does it work here? It's more of a testing platform where you're purely based out of skills and talent, okay? So you're not based out on any sort of degree or any people networking, okay? So it's more like a testing platform where based on your score, based on the assessment you go through, based on the marks you get in that assessment, you will be getting the interview calls, right? And how can you get this the best score? So if you're skilled enough, if you're knowledgeable enough, that's the only way, right? So that you should be getting the best score out of the test. So if you're knowledgeable enough, right? So that's how plain simple it is, right? So, and also along with that, there are certain other benefits involved if you participate in this testing platform, like at least 50 plus companies hiring directly from the Relevel. That includes the top startups and even the unicorns, including Upgrad, Cred, Razorpay, Open Company, and many more, right? And at least 1,000 plus open job positions right now across three different portfolios: business development, front end, and the back end development. Multiple sub roles also available within these. This is completely online again, so you can take this from the comfort of your home. So you're not supposed to be physically present anywhere to be part of this test. And also, this is completely free of cost, guys. So you're not paying even a single penny to be part of this test. So you can take this completely free. So the only thing is only expectation from you is you have to finish the entire test in a single day, right? So, and that day could be of your choice. There'll be multiple rounds of the test, so you have to finish the entire test in a single day, right? So that's the only expectation. And also, the scores will be revealed in a week's time post that, right? So as I've said, since it's an assessment platform, so there is a scoring criteria on this. So you have to score at least a 70% to make your Relevel profile. But in any unfortunate situation, if you are unable to get the 70% marks, you can always reattempt the test. But that can happen only after 30 days of your first attempt. So always be mindful of that, right? And there are certain other goodies also involved. So if you are one of the top scorers in a particular category, so you can always be awarded with some exciting goodies like the MacBook, iPhone, and all that. So again, that's again a charm, right? So with Relevel, guys, you are in a unique position to invite interest from the companies instead of you hunting for your own opportunities, right? So it's more like once you have given the test, right, so just sit back and relax. The companies will start reaching out to you based on your score. So that's how simple it is. Cool. So registration is also quite easy on the Relevel platform, guys. So you can always go through the link which is there in the description. So the first thing would be to choose the test of your choice, like the business development, front end, and the back end development. Multiple sub roles available within these, like the sales associate, the customer engagement associate in the business development. Then you have Angular developer, front end developer, web developer in front end, data engineer, backend engineer in backend development. So multiple sub roles depending on your area of interest. You can always choose the test of your choice, right? The next thing would be to choose the date of your choice, like the booking the slot. So slots are limited. It's a beta platform, you know that. So I would recommend you to book your slot fast. And then the last thing would be to fill up your demographics, like the full name, email ID, birth year, current state, along with your gender. And at last, you have an option of a promo code, right? So in this promo code, you can always use the code Python 10, so which will eventually help you to unlock a bonus sample test paper. So do not forget to use Python 10 here. So if you use the code Python 10, that's how the dashboard should look like. So you have a practice tab. So you can always see a tab of practice and then the sample questions here. So you can always download it and then practice it before attempting the real test. So that will be helpful to you. Okay, so with this, guys, I would highly recommend you to at least try Relevel for once, right? So this is again one of the platform which is completely free of cost for now, right? So there's no cost involved anyway. So you can try it for once. If you feel that you're not getting benefited, you can always take your decisions elsewise later, right? So but at least try it for once. So also we have an official Telegram channel. So the link is again there in the YouTube description. So please go through that link and join this channel. It's a one place stop for all of your queries and upcoming schedules and all the information, right? So you'll be getting on this channel. So you won't be running around here and there. And at last, do like and share the video, guys. So that's the least I can expect from you. So if you feel that you're getting benefited, please do like and share the video. So that's the least which I can expect from you. So with this, again, we are into the problem solving, right? So let's jump back to Leetcode and let's try to solve the problems which we have. But again, let me take one question from Apramya. When I want to start CP, so by CP I mean competitive programming. So again, Apramya, here the question is, if you want to start CP, right? So it's all about first getting to know the concepts, right? And if you're talking about CP of SQL, so that's where I would say that if you are very new to this, at least try to have the basics cleared. So we have already covered the basics in our previous lectures, the starting of my lectures. So I wouldn't say that it covers everything whatever we have. I mean that's impractical to expect that. But again, it covers almost everything which is required for you to start your journey in SQL. Okay. See again, learning is always a comfort zone, right? So if you keep on learning the theory, that's always a comfort zone. You'll never want to come out of that, right? You're actually the inner yourself, I would say the inner self of you, right, will always pull you back to keep on learning, right? So you can always just keep on learning SQL or whatever language theoretically, but that's not the end, right? Theoretically, you can always say that I don't know this, I don't know that, I want to learn, I want. You just can just keep on learning, right? But there has to be an end to that. Ultimately, these all are coding platforms, so you have to practice, right? So with practice you can only improve. So that's where the programming starts, that's where the actual groundwork start, right? So once I feel that the things which we have discussed in a classroom, that should be enough to start your practicing. Yeah, and there'll be few things which you'll be learning during the course of practicing. You'll always realize that, right? So that'll be the learning curve every day. And for me it's that. So I mean, it's not for you, it's for everyone, right? So do not worry about that. Cool. So let's jump back to our lead codes. Uh, Guys, I hope I'm visible again. There was some technical issue, guys. I'm really sorry. I My internet connectivity got lost, and I just started facing that problem. Okay, so I I got reconnected again. I hope I'm pretty much audible and visible. So right. So let's start. Let's not waste time, and let's just quickly start. Cool. Great. So I think in a previous discussion we solved these two questions: the delete duplicate emails and the rising temperature, right? So trips and the user. So again, guys, see, look at this. So these are my premium questions. You can see these are logged questions, right? So this can only be accessed by uh, the premium members, right? So we have certain charges for that. Don't worry, we'll look at these questions as well. But let's at least for now look at the questions which are open. So we have still n number of questions. You can see this. So you can see these all questions are open, right? So we'll try to solve the questions which are still open for us. Okay. So definitely we'll have to see the other premium questions also. We'll try to find out the way to look at these questions. But at least for now, we'll try to solve the questions which are open for now. Okay. So we'll try to finish all the questions which are open. So we'll try to finish that and then we'll come back to the premium set of questions. Okay. So let's try to solve this one, the trips and the users. Okay. Right. So let me open that. Yeah. Right. So now look at this. Okay. So this is a long question. Okay. Cool. Let's try to again convert this into our, as always, basic logics. So we have inputs, we have outputs, we have constraints, and then we have flows. Okay. So let's talk about our inputs. So what are inputs we have? So we have the table called as trips. Cool. And in this table, we have certain columns. So which says like ID, client ID, driver ID, city ID, status, request at. Okay, so multiple columns here. ID, client ID, driver ID. Okay, so city ID, status, and request at. Okay, interesting, interesting. So now look at this. So here, ID is the primary key for this table. So as always, so ID is the primary key. Okay, let's keep it like this. So the table holds taxi trips. Okay, so the table is for taxi trips. Okay, okay. So now here I have the table holds all taxi trips. Each trip has a unique ID. So this ID basically is my unique trip ID basically. Okay, so this is my trip ID. Okay. And each trip has a unique ID, while client ID and the driver ID are the foreign keys to user ID at the users table. Guys, so I have just explained in the previous stream. So what is the difference between a primary key and the foreign key, right? So basically, this client ID and the driver ID are the joining conditions of my two different tables. So as simple as that. Okay, ठीक है? So अभी हम देखते हैं और क्या क्या अवेलेबल है मेरे पास. So each while client ID and driver are foreign keys to the user ID at the users table. So I have another table which is called as users. Okay, so I have another table. So table 2, which is users. So in this users, I have the user ID here. So user ID, I have the client ID and the driver ID. So this driver ID and the client ID are basically my foreign key to my user ID. So basically the data which is present in the client ID and the driver ID, right? So it's basically similar to my user ID. So the user ID is the primary key of my users table, right? So this is the primary key of my users table. This is the primary key here, but this user ID is exactly similar in holding the similar information of my client ID and the driver ID. So basically these are my individual users only, right? So these two are the foreign key. Okay, I'm just going to copy this. And what are these actually? So these are actually my user ID. So क्या है ये? Users ID. Users है. Again guys, always be mindful of the spellings. I always said that. So this can result in some issue, errors. Okay, so this is my user ID. Cool. This is what I have. Fair enough. Now what does it say? So foreign key to users ID at the users table. That's fine. So status is an enum type of completed, cancelled by driver, and cancelled by client. Okay, so that's fine. Okay, so I have here is like more of a type where it's more of status. I have three different status. Okay, so basically status is the I have three unique status. basically string है ये, ठीक है, string. Okay, so इसमें band है और role है, band और क्या ये भी पढ़ लेते हैं. So here now this is for my first table, right? So I have another table users. In this users, I have the user ID. This is fine, and then the table holds information of band and role. है ना? So here what is this? So each user has a unique user ID. That's fine, and the role is the client, driver, or the partner. So basically here in this case, my role could be multiple. So it can be client, it can be driver, or it can be partner. Okay, so basically if it's a client, it's going to be a client ID. So if it's going to be a driver, it's going to be a driver ID. Right? So that's how I have to define based on the roles. Okay, so that's okay. And then the band, so whether that particular user is banned or not, right? So banned means वो उस पे ban लगा हुआ है. So banned क्या है यहाँ पे? Yes or no. Yes या no. ठीक है. So ये information मेरे पास available है अभी. ठीक है. I'll do that. So now what all I have? So in the cancel rate is computed. Okay, so now on top of this, so this is my information inputs. Okay, so given So now the cancellation rate is computed by dividing the number of cancelled by client or driver cancelled requests with unbanned users by the total number of requests with the unbanned users on that day. Okay, so now I have something called as cancellation rate. Okay, so the cancellation rate is by the number of cancelled. So number of cancelled request by either client or driver. Uh, is there a major problem, Shashank? I'm trying to check my internet connection here. Just a minute. Uh, looks like it's fine to me. It's more than 15 bps. Okay. Let me refresh it. There is a lag of anyway, almost I would say 20 to 25 seconds always in any live video, Shashank, right? But again, if you're if I'm really not able to if I'm not audible or anything, so do let me know. So looks like my internet connectivity is fine. So yeah, it just went off for some time. So I went offline for some time, but I think it should be fine now. But again, if any case you still have some issue, do let me know. Okay. So yeah, coming back to the question again. So I have the cancellation rate here, right? So cancellation rate is basically the computed by the number of cancelled requests. So this is my cancelled request divided by the total number of total रिक्वेस्ट है ना. अब इसके ऊपर दो कंडीशंस हैं. फर्स्ट इज बाय अनबैंड यूजर ओनली एंड पर डे, राइट. सो you can see this that day and also with unbanned users, है ना. Okay, so I have two requests here. So for cancellation rate, so let's keep that in mind. Okay, so okay, this is interesting. So now I have to find out. So write a SQL query to find the cancellation rate. So basically I have to find this cancellation rate only. This is interesting. Okay, so I have to find the cancellation rate of request with unbanned users. Both client and driver must not be banned. Okay, so this is fine. So look at this. So basically this will also come here. So by unbanned user only, each day between 2013 1001 and 2013 1003. So okay, so I have a date range also. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this for now. So I only want the output between these 2 days. Okay, so that's fine. And also what I want, round the cancellation rate to 2 point decimals. Do not forget this constraint, guys. If you forget this, even if your logic is fine, you'll still get an error. So always be mindful of the constraints. So they have specifically mentioned that I have to round it to 2 decimal places. Okay, so I believe this is pretty much the question what it says, right? So this is pretty much what it is. If anybody is not able to understand the logics, guys, do let me know. So I think we have written almost everything whatever they were mentioning in the problem statement. Now look at the data. So let me just pull this up a bit here. So I have the table. So the first table is my trips table, right? So the trips table says the ID, client ID, driver ID, city ID, status, and the request add. So basically this request add is my date, okay, and the ID and the client ID and the driver. So this ID is my trip ID, okay. So this is my trip ID, and the client ID is my client ID. Basically is coming from the users table only, but it's basically the customer, so who is requesting the taxi, right? And the 10 is again my driver. So basically, so I'll be having both 1 and 10 here, right? So 1 is a client in the role and 10 is the driver here, okay? And you have the option of banned and unbanned and all that, right? So here, that's fine. So now here for each trip, so status is completed. So this ride, so ID 1 got completed, and the date was 2013 and 2013 10/01. Okay, so that was a date. And then this is like cancelled by driver. So I have a state here, cancelled by driver, where the city, sorry, the driver ID is 11. I have a city ID also. Okay, this is interesting. So I didn't notice that. So I have a city ID also. City ID kya hai yaar? Okay, so city ID is basically ID of the city, basically, right? So they have not mentioned it, but I think this is not really required. But yeah, so that's what city ID means. So ID of my city, that's fine. Cool. So that's okay. So I have my user table here. So that's also cool. So I have my independent users here, the role and the band status, right? So basically no or yes for my band status. Right. So this is how the output should look like. So I have the day here, like the respective days. So 1, 2, and 3 is what I want the info for, right? And the cancellation rate. So basically 0.33, 0.00, and 0.50, right? So basically here, so what I can see is, now look at the explanation, right? So, okay, so this is pretty elaborative. So let's see that. So on 2013 10/01, so basically 2013 10/01. Okay, so these many requests, right? So I have these many requests. So I could say 4 unique IDs. So look at this. There were 4 requests in total, right? So 2 of which were cancelled. So here in this 4, right? So look at this. These 4. So here, yeah, 2 were cancelled by driver and cancelled by client, right? So this is fine. So 2 of which were cancelled. However, the request with ID is equal to 2. So ID is equal to 2, this one. And here the client ID is 2 and driver ID is 11, okay? So this one. So the client ID 2, which was made by a banned client, user ID 2. So ID 2 is banned. Okay, yeah, correct. That's fine. So it is ignored in the calculation. Okay, great. So I cannot use this one. So this one has to go. This is not a correct one. So I have to just take this one where both the client ID 4 and the driver ID are not banned. So only this one is considered. Okay, cool. So first made by the blank. So it is ignored in the calculation. So hence there are only 3 unbanned requests. So initially it was 4, right? But now we can see only 3 unbanned requests because one of it was cancelled. And this 3, and because one was made from a banned client, right? So this is gone. So total is 3 only, and out of which only 1 got cancelled. So rate is 1/3 is 0.33. Clear, guys? Yeah, explanation is pretty clear. So I think we have mentioned these details in our available informations also. So I think that's fine. Cool. Great. So this is actually a good question. So this is actually a good question. So let's again stick to our basics. You know? So we'll try to solve the problem likewise. Guys, anybody has any questions in this, right? So it's there are a lot of things which they're asking us to do in this, right? So a lot of in fact hidden information, a lot of inner information which they're trying us to do. So I hope people are able to understand this logic. Anybody has any doubt in this? Anybody has any doubt in this? Are they able to follow the questions at least? Just let me yes or no, guys. If you are able to follow the question, I'm not asking you to write me a code. I'll give you the code. That's not a problem. But anybody has any question in understanding the logic of the problem? यार क्वेश्चन समझना सबसे पहले जरूरी है बिकॉज अगर क्वेश्चन ही समझ में नहीं आएगा तो कोड क्या करोगे, है ना? तो आई होप क्वेश्चन समझ में आ रहा है सबको, उसमें कोई भी प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. अगर क्वेश्चन नहीं समझ में आ रहा हो प्लीज डू लेट मी नो, आई विल एक्सप्लेन इट अगेन. बट लेट्स कम बैक टू आवर फ्लोज. तो फ्लोज कैसे बनाएंगे? देखो यार, कोई भी क्वेश्चन है ना, आप कोई भी प्रॉब्लम आप जब भी सॉल्व करते हो, लेट्स स्टिक टू द कोर. ऑलवेज लेट्स स्टिक टू द कोर. ओके, डू नॉट गो हियर एंड देयर. लेट्स राइट अ कोर स्ट्रक्चर एंड लेट्स ट्राई टू सॉल्व ऑन टॉप ऑफ दैट. ठीक है, आई विल डू दैट ओनली हियर. सबसे पहले क्या है, बिकॉज हियर दे आर आस्किंग अस टू व्हाट आउटपुट क्या है, कैंसिलेशन रेट टू फाइंड द कैंसिलेशन, राइट? तो फाइंड है. तो फाइंड में क्या होगा, सिलेक्ट आएगा मेरे पास यहाँ पे, सिलेक्ट टूल from where group by having ऑर्डर बाय लिमिट, है ना, यही है ना कोड स्ट्रक्चर हमारा, ऑलवेज यही तो है कोड स्ट्रक्चर, राइट। अब आई थिंक हमें ऑर्डर बाय लिमिट की कोई जरूरत नहीं है, बिकॉज यहाँ पे कोई ऑर्डरिंग नहीं हो रहा है, राइट। वी जस्ट नीड टू फाइंड द 3 dates, राइट, सो दैट देयर इज नो ऑर्डर एंड लिमिट इन्वॉल्वड हियर, सो जस्ट दीस टू आर गॉन एनीवे। अभी सेलेक्ट, अब एक एक अभी लेट्स कीप ग्रुप बाय हैविंग फॉर नाउ, हम देखते हैं क्या करना है इसको, एंड देन विल ट्राई टू ऐड द रेस्पेक्टिव कंपोनेंट्स ऑफ दीज, है ना। So just a minute, guys. I think I need to switch my net. Just a minute. I'll be away for 10 seconds. Guys, do let me know if my screen is visible again. I'm just opening up the chats again, guys. I hope I'm pretty much visible again. I'm really sorry for the network lag, guys. I'm facing some network issues. My actually baby daughter just pulled up the router, so I'm really sorry for that. I'm really sorry for being. I mean, there's for the network lag. Cool. Okay, so coming back again, guys. I'm really sorry we lost the track again. So yeah, what was it? Cool. Coming back. Okay, so we did write the flow, select from where and all that. So I think we have written the input table. Yeah, cool. So let's start. So here in the select statement, what they want us to find out, we have to print the cancellation rate with respect to days, right? So what the output should look like. So it has my day and the cancellation rate, right? So it has both the day and the cancellation rate. So somehow the logic should be here. So select में आपका select में क्या है? So I have this request add करके column था ना, something क्या है? हाँ, request add. So this request add is my date basically, right? So ये यहाँ पे somehow I'm just writing this for now. So this request add तो आएगा ही somehow, right? And also be mindful. So they're asking us to rename it to day, right? So this has to be renamed to day. Cool. So that's my first thing which I'm looking for. And the second is basically my cancellation rate. So this logic of cancellation rate should come here, right? So this is what we are looking for. This is my select statement. This is what I want. These two things I want from my select, right? So this should be here. Now from what? So from may I have what? So I have my trips table. So I have my trips table as well as my users table. So I have from, I'm just going to copy this trips. So I have my from trips, and then I have users. So I have trips join users, right? Right. So I have what? I have trips as well as users. So coming back again. So I have my trips as well users. So in this case, so I have two tables, right? So trips as well as users. So अब trips को अगर आप user से add करना चाहोगे, so if I'm using two different tables, so I have to join this, right? And joining का कोई condition भी होगा. So trips and the users joining condition on, right? So this is my, so I'm just writing as joining का condition. Right? So I have my condition here. So I have my joining condition. So trips join users on condition, correct? So here now this is what my condition is. So now what I'm looking at. So now this is my joining condition from. So now where? Cool. So now where, this is again my condition comes of filter. So filter condition. So filter condition क्या है? So filter condition में जो मुझे समझ में आ रहा है यहाँ पे आपका एक band का condition है. So band condition, right? So this has to be, so both my client, so I'm just writing that, so as my band condition. So एक I have to write the where में band condition, where this has to be, no, it should not be band, right? So this is what I'm looking at. And here, and also I'm looking at the date ka filter. So because I could see here at the date between, right? So this date also has to be incorporated here. So this date in asked range. Cool. This is what I have to implement in the where, right? Cool. I do not see, yeah. So again, in fact, I want it through per day also, right? Say I missed that. So I want it through per day. So basically, definitely group by तो होगा ही होगा यहाँ पे. So per day group by में होगा day. So basically, group by has to be per day. Cool. So they want is user the per day, right? So they have mentioned per day. I want to mention it. So this is my core logic, right? So I think that I don't see anything in having, but let's keep it in having for now, and let's see if we can implement some filter on top of my group by. So I'll still keep having for now. Okay, so this is my core structure of my code, right? So the core logical structure of my code. Anybody has any questions in this, guys? Anybody has any questions? Are you able to follow up this core structure? Is this making sense? So I've just used the informations which we have written here, right, in form of my coding structure. So I've just formulated the information in form of my codes. That's it. I have not done anything fancy here. I've just added the same information, written the same information in form of my codes, right? So this is what I have. So now let's try to start solving. So let's start solving this. Okay, so let's keep this select for last. Okay, so as a practice, or we always try to write the select for last. Okay, so we'll write the cancellation logic and all. We'll see that. So, but let's try to solve the other parts first. Okay, so we'll take select for last. So from I'm trying to do it between my trips and the users. Okay, so we can always take trips as say T1 or say T, and users as say U, right? So इसको हम join कैसे करेंगे, guys? So I have here the IDs, right? So here the IDs basically I'm trying to join up. Basically my here in this case joining condition would be what? So here the condition would be my the user ID here. So my user ID and the client ID, for example, right? So I can just mention that in this case my T dot client, so here I can say that, so for example, so client, this is my logic I'm trying to implement. So client ID of trips should be equal to user ID of क्या user table ही है ना ये, users है ना. So this is my table now. This is a table which I want to implement. So the client ID from trips should be equal to the users ID from the table users, right? And also I can just add a sub condition here that the band, so मैं उसी पे ही join करूंगा where the band status of my user of is no. I can just add a condition also here again, right? I can do that. So let's have it like this. So for this I can do that. So for the client ID of my trips, I can have T dot client underscore ID. So I hope I'm writing the name correct. So client ID, yep. So I'm just gonna copy it like this to avoid any problem. So client ID, and then I have users. This should be equal to the users U dot user ID, right? So I have my users ID here. So again, guys, always be mindful of these. So yeah, so this is my first condition. Along with that, I can also implement the banned condition here. So I only want to join where the user ID is not banned, right? So I can see that. So in this case, I can say that the banned status of my user, so u dot banned, right? Cool, is equal to data में क्या no आ रहा है ना, no है capital में क्या है, so it's camel case, guys always remember this. In camel case, if I give no like this, it'll give an error. It should be no. Okay, like this. So this is my join condition, and yeah, so they both has to be correct. So just an and condition on top of that. So अभी हम सिर्फ अगर इसको देखें, just look at this for now. Okay, so look at this highlighted piece of my code. So what I'm expected to get out of this, so I'm joining trips on users on the client ID. So then look at this. So I have this information. So the output will have what? Again, guys, I'm taking 1 minute of more time here just to explain you what the output should look like. So the output will have the column as ID. It should have client underscore ID. It should have driver underscore ID. It should have city underscore ID. It should have what? It should have city ID हो गया, status भी होगा इसके साथ, status, and then I'm gonna have the request underscore add, and now things from the city from the users table, it will have the additional 3 columns. It will be having the users underscore ID, it will be having band, and it will be having role, right? So now this is the number of columns I'll be having from this join, right? No issues in this. But look at this. So here I'm joining on certain conditions. So I'm saying that this client ID should be equal to my user's ID. That's fine. And also the band should be no. So basically in this case, I will only be having the rows, only those rows where IDs are matching and band is equal to no. Okay, so I'm filtering the rows also while I'm joining this condition. Is this point making sense, guys? I hope this logic is making sense, right? So again I'm still insisting on this. It's always important to understand my join and the view table, basically, right? So if you can visualize the output of your view table, the query will become easier for you. So this is how the output of my this statement would look like. This is the output, right? This is my first statement. Making sense, guys? Just stop me if you're not able to understand that. I'm just keeping it as it is for now if you're not able to get it. Okay. So now this is my joining condition. So now अभी मैंने join कर लिया इसको table को, correct? अब इस joining के बाद I have a filter condition also, right? So अब इसमें where में मेरे पास filter condition है, right? So I have a filter condition on what? So I have a filter condition on my, so band का मैंने already joining में implement कर दिया. So this is gone. So this is already implemented here, right? So this is already implemented. So this is gone. So now, but this date is not implemented, right? So we can have this date का definition here. So now date कैसे आएगा? Date कहाँ पे available है? Date है मेरे पास request add करके, right? And request add. So I have date as request add, and request add किसके अंदर available है? वो trips के अंदर है. So the t dot request add, right? So this is my the column name of my date, and this should be between, कहाँ लिखा है मैंने, between. So this is my expectation. So this should be between 2013-01 and all that, right? So luckily we also have in the date column, we have the function call as between. Okay, so we can actually use the keyword between directly. Okay, so it will come like this only. So I can just simply implement t request at between this and this. So this will still work as it is. This is completely fine. So in fact, this is actually the correct statement which I wanted to implement, right? So this where is also implemented. So I have where the request at the date is between the two dates. Okay, so this is also fine. And now I want everything to be grouped by under my date. So basically now again I want to implement this request at here. So this has to be grouped by using request at. Cool. I don't think I need a having here because there's no filter condition on top of my group by. I just need to add the logic of my cancellation rate here. That's the only thing which is pending, I guess. Right. So guys, making sense? This is again, I'm just kind of solving the question in a reverse order. So solving the question from individual sub functions I have and trying to make it simpler. Cool. So that's being done. So I have the select done. So I'll come to the select now. So I'll write the cancellation logic. So that's also pretty good. So and then from is cool. From में condition डाल दिया मैंने. And then I have the where statement here. Then I have the group by. Pretty much sorted. Cool. अब हम क्या करते हैं? अब select में आते हैं last. So again, so the request at को हमको day में convert करना. So request at कहाँ से आ रहा है? T से आएगा, right? So trip से आएगा. Request at T dot request at as day, right? So we can always rename this as my day because this is what the expected column is, if I'm not wrong. So this is what it is. So as day, right? So as day, this is fine. Cool. So this is done. So and then I have the logic of my cancellation rate. So अब logic of cancellation rate समझते हैं क्या था? अभी मैं इसको वापस यहाँ लिखता हूँ. ये है यहाँ पे कहाँ गया? Okay, so I'm just gonna write it down for here. Okay, so I have the number of cancelled request. So the number of cancelled request for any client and driver by total number of request. राइट. ओके, सो हम कैसे कर सकते हैं, अभी हम कैसे फाइंड आउट करेंगे इसको. सो ओके, सो नाउ वी कैन फाइंड आउट कैंसिलेशन. सो कैंसिलेशन से हमें क्या निकालना पड़ेगा. ओके, सो बेसिकली I have this, so I have these two, right? So cancelled by driver and cancelled by client. So basically, so here the thing is, guys, so first I have to find out, objective here is to first find out rows where actually cancelled cancellation happened. Okay, so this is my first objective, right? And then divided by total number of rows. So because anyway I have group byed it, right? So the group by will be giving me per day. So the per day ka logic is gone, and the band is also, we have anyway doing it on no only. So the band and all, I don't have to implement it here. So I can just simply call it as the number of rows and the actual cancellation. So ठीक है. So अभी हम कैसे find out कर सकते हैं. So how can I find the number of the rows where the cancellation is in between in these two of the values, either by cancelled by driver or cancelled by client. So I can so I'm just keeping this entire thing away for now. Okay, I'm just focusing on this part, the cancellation part only. Okay, so I'm just focusing on this part now. Suppose अगर हमको सिर्फ cancellation का निकालना है, how can I do that? So can I कहाँ गया यार, value कहाँ गई इसकी, हाँ right यहाँ पर है. So can I do like this? So select कहाँ गया, status है ना, status ही है ना, हाँ, select status from the table name is कहाँ गया यार, table name is trips. Okay, select status from trips where status in, I can give a list and I can give these two values. I can do that, right? People are following me this. If I have to just find out the status as where, sorry, status from the trips where the status is actually falling on only having these two conditions, cancelled by driver or cancelled by client, right? Is it making sense? Or can I do that? So or can I do one thing? So where status in, or can I do like this? So where status, instead of doing this, I can also write it like this, right? Where status like, so cancelled is being common here, right? So I can just write this %. Is this making sense, guys, to you? So these two are one and the other query. So I can write it like this because I just noticed the cancelled is getting repeated twice. So instead of writing the entire things again, I can just simply write cancel %. So anything which follows after cancelled is fine. I'm okay with that. So it has to have the keyword cancelled. Are you guys following up? I can write it like this. So they both are equally good to me, right? Clear enough in this part? So this is identifying the rows basically where the data is cancelled. So this is my first part of my logic. But again, I have to find the number of these rows. So I have to count these rows, right? So you remember, so I have to count these rows basically. Cool. So what can I do in this? So to find the rows, so basically, can I just say that, so for this cancelled part, I'm just going to give some kind of counter on top of that. So I'm just going to keep on adding these two things. So these rows together, so as a number of counter. So can I just give a condition? So for example, if this is true, I can just give this value as 1, else 0, and then keep on adding 1. Does it make sense? I can do that, right? So this will give me at the end the number of rows where the condition is true. Making sense? So I have written this logic of identifying those rows. So now I can just give as a counter as 1 and then just keep on adding wherever this condition is true, right? I can do that. This is making sense to you? How can I implement this logic in the code? I can just do that. So I can do it through if, I can do it through case, I can do it through simple looping also. So let's use case. Why not? So let's use case. So case is simpler, right? So case का syntax क्या होता है? Case when condition true, then this, else, then value, else, value. This is the syntax of my case statement, right? So now here, when I'm saying that case when the condition is this. So condition here, I'm trying to say that in this case, status, so basically status is like I have cancelled, okay, my bad, like cancelled %, okay. So this is my condition, right? So this is my condition where when the status is like cancelled, okay, then I'm gonna give the value as 1, okay. So this is 1, and then else I'm gonna call it as 0. I can do that. This is pretty simple, right? So I've just implemented the same logic which I have the cancelled here, and I've given the values also, the 1 and 0s, right? And now I can just call sum on top of it to have the sum of all the values here. Is this making sense, guys? Is this making sense to you? And here status is actually coming from what? Status is coming from, I think, the trips table, right? So this is part of my trips table. So it should be t.trips. Cool. So here again, I'm just removing the else part here. So this entire thing I'm removing, right? So for the numerator, so this is my numerator part, right? So here, यार मैंने गलत delete कर दिया क्या? Oh shit, my bad. Right, so I think I deleted the wrong thing. My bad. So let's remove all of this. Cool, making sense? So basically this is my numerator. Cool. So this is my numerator, right? To find out the columns, to find out the information where the sum of all the requests, sum of all the cancel requests by either client or driver, and I'm adding it using the case statement where the values are 1 or 0. Making sense, guys? This is my numerator basically, right? And now what is the denominator? The total request. So what will be my denominator here? Denominator. Okay. ये क्या होगा? अभी इसमें क्या है? हमें क्या करना है? Yeah, a question here from Swapnil. It says, if case is more than 2 times, then what should write? So same है ना यार. आप ऐड करते चले जाओ. आप जैसे यहाँ पे मैंने क्या बोला था? Case, when, then, value. अब इसमें ऐड करते जाओ. आप इसको end मत करो. So basically you're not going to end here. So see, generally आप क्या करते हो? So value के बाद and then ये आपका first casing हुआ है ना? और second case यहाँ पर हुआ. Case, when, then, value. Just keep on adding. So I mean, you can just keep on adding the cases whatever you have. The logic will remain the same. So first condition ends here and the second ends here. You got it? So you can just keep on ending here. In fact, I missed the end here. I just realized. So it has to be ended. So every case it opens up and it ends here, right? So you can always just keep on adding my conditions. So that's not a problem. So you can just keep on adding the conditions. Or if you say that maybe, and I think more than 2 conditions you're saying, so you can just write another and here, just like and another condition followed by this. So condition 2, you can just use and to write another condition. So if you have that, so if that is your question, Sapnil. So I hope I answered your question. Okay. So yeah, so I just missed that. Thank you for reminding me. So I just missed the casing end. So whenever a case starts, it has to be the end word should be end. So it has to end. The case has to end there. Okay. So this is always be mindful of that. So I have written the sum. This is my numerator, right? So now what is my denominator? So I want, what is the denominator? I forgot. So the total request, right? So total request simple hai. Count star kar lo. So count of star or count of any single column is also fine. So if we do count of say my request here, like say trip here. So count of ID also is fine, like t.id is also fine. You can also do that. But generally we write for all rows like count star, like okay, count star is fine. So it will give you anyway for all the rows. You know? So it will give you the count of all the rows. Cool. So this is what we have. So let's try to implement this. So this is my numerator. So I'm gonna pull instead of this, I'm gonna write this. You know? And then I have in denominator count star. So I'm gonna replace this with count star. Okay. So now this is the cancellation rate ka function for me. Okay. So this is what I have identified. Now on top of this, I think they also mentioned a couple of things. So date is implemented, band is implemented. Okay, round is remaining, right? Okay, cool. So अब ये एक whole together एक value को return करेगा. So this will be returning me some value like say 0.5623. This will be returning me some value like this, right? So now this value को आपको round करना है. So consider this entire thing as a value now. Okay. So we have a function call as, so this I'm just again adding another parenthesis on top of it. Okay. So this again a function call is round. Round डालो. So this is the value of my round basically, right? So this entire thing is my value. So this again I can just give a comma here for again after the value, and then I can write 2. So this will be rounding of the entire data on 2 decimals. So now the output will be like this. Making sense, guys? Any confusions? Any confusion in this? This is a bit tricky. But again, simple, guys. So do not get confused. It's actually very simple only. So now in this logic, I'm gonna write this. Okay, so I'm gonna write this one here. So I have, so sum of all this divided by part, and the round here is round is my 2. Okay. So this is the thing. Do I need to rename it to anything? Yeah, I should be renaming it. But what do I have to rename it? As cancellation rate. Okay, so rate is different. So there's a space in between. Okay. So now this is my second column. So I need to rename it as cancellation rate. Got it? So this is my select statement. Now just end this entire part. So select the first column and the second column. Okay. From trips T joining users I, and I've implemented my joining condition here. So where I have the user ID is common and the band is also no, right? And then I have the where condition. So for the where condition of my date, this is implemented here. Group by ID, group by date. Cool. Making sense, guys? I think I've implemented all the logics here. So I think cancellation rate is also given. Unband is given, right? So cancellation rate is given. So constraint, just have a follow through of the question. So I think band per day is also given, date is also given, round we did. So I think we implemented everything whatever was needed. Cool. So I'm gonna just comment it for now, and let's see. So does this query make sense, guys? Any questions in this? Let me run it also. Let's see if there is any error in it. Yeah, it's pretty good. So it just ran through. So this is pretty decent. So let me just shorten this. Can I do that? Okay, I actually cannot. Okay, cool. Any questions, guys, in this? Any questions in this? I tried to break it to the best I can, right? The best I could. But still, if you're not able to follow up this question, do let me know, guys. I'm gonna give you a minute break to digest this question. It was a bit tricky, but again, trust me, internally it's quite simpler. Cool. Right. So let's do that. I think this is fine. Let's take one more question. Let's do that. Let's take one more question. So I have the database question mentioned here. So we did this one, right? So trips and the user. This was an interesting question. This was actually an interesting question. Cool. So these all are actually, I think, the premium question. So we cannot take it right now. So let's take this one, which is open. So the big countries. Cool. So let's take one more question and then we can maybe wind off for the day. So we have inputs as again. So we have inputs and then we have outputs. We have constraints, right? And then we have flows. Cool. So let's take this. So I have the table world. Okay, fair enough. I have the table world here, and I have the column name, the name, continent, area, population, and GDP. Okay, so I have these information from the world table. Name is the primary key column. Okay, it's interesting. So name is basically my primary key here. So name is my primary key. That's fine. Okay, and each row of this table gives information about the name of the country. Okay, so the name of the country is here, the continent to which it belongs to. Okay, fair enough. Its area, its population, and its GDP. Okay, so it's basically demographics of my country. So demographics of my country. Of country, I just write. So of country, that's it. That's fine, right? So that's fair enough. So country is big if it has an area of at least 3 million square. 3 million. Okay, so basically this is the figure which I have to find out. So I have to see how exactly this is written. So here again they say a country is big if this it should be area at least, so it should be like greater than or equal to, this is what I could think of. So is an area of at least 300. Okay, this is fine. This is like greater than or equal to this 30 whatever, so 3 million 33 million kilometers square, and it has a or condition. Okay, look at this. So this is important. So it has or. This is not and, guys, this is or. Okay, so or it has a population of at least 25 million. So this is my population. Okay, so or area, you know, basically this is my area, and then I have second is population, which is a population at least, so again greater than or equal to. Cool. This is my definition of my big. Cool. Fair enough. This looks simple. So write a query to report the name, population, and area. So output में मुझे क्या चाहिए? Name, population, and area. तीनों चाहिए, right? ठीक है? Of the big countries. Of big countries. Cool. Fair enough. So result query का format देख लेते हैं. So I have the country name is Afghanistan and the continent is Asia, and then we have the area, and then we have the GDP, we have the population, then we have the GDP mentioned here, right? So okay, so this is basically a number. So this kilometer square is not there. So just a number. That's easy only. Okay, so then I have another countries and all that. Okay, so the output should be the name, population, and area. So they're not changing the name, right? So they're just name, population, and area. Okay, so the order is important, guys. So look at this. So always think of, so the order is important. So you cannot write area before population. So because here area is before population, right? So you have to, the order should be the constant. So the name, population, area should remain in the same order. So this is something which is important. So these are the smaller things there which they generally check. I would say little stupid sometime, but yeah, this is, you have to adhere to that, right? So I don't see a constant here. Return a table in result format. Okay, so yeah, I don't see a constant. So that, anyway, so no order constant and all anyway. So no order constraint here. ठीक है? So a simple question है. ये तो बहुत ही simple question है. Let's try to see that. So again, I have the, so here the query to report the name. So basically there's no delete and update and all that. So it's more of a select statement. So select from where. I always write this just to make sure that you never forget it. Okay, so this is the flow. So select from where, group by having then I have order by, then I have limit. This is the code structure of my code every time I write this, right? So, and here we realize we don't need order by, we don't need limit. So this is gone. And I don't see, we need a group by and all that here. So because just a filter condition, right? So we don't need a group by, and if group by nahi hai, to having bhi nahi hoga, hai na? So for sure. So I think this is pretty much good. So this is the only thing which we need. Select from where, right? So select kya? So select, I want name, population, and then I want area. Okay, so I'm just again writing it as like this for now. Okay, so we'll modify it as per our need, but this is the columns which we need for our purpose. Cool. So I've just written that, and then I have from का table का नाम क्या था? World, है ना? From world. This is fine. So this is, I don't think there is anything which is needed here. So from where is where the big country definition है ना. So अभी ये मेरा country का definition है ना. So let's try to give this here. So the first is my area, right? So area is greater than equal to 33 million whatsoever it is, right? And then so area is fine, and then I have the population. The population का column का नाम क्या है? Population ही है. So I'll just write population here. So population is greater than equal to 2.5 million. So I think the numbers I have copied it from here, right? I'll just copy it just to be on a safer side. So this is fine, and then this is fine. Cool. And then again, so they have mentioned or, so always be mindful of this guy. So this has to be or, this is not and. Okay, so this is or. So this is gone. So this is my condition, and then from where, this is good. So I think this is fine. So this is what they need, right? So just remove this. So name, population, area by default given. So name, population, and area, this is given. So this is a simple query only. So nothing fancy here. So I'm just gonna comment this for now, and then from world where, then I have to write at the end the semicolon, and then just run it. This should run fine. Yeah, cool. So pretty simple. So it was a very simple question. Right, cool. सिंपल है. और कंडीशन बना दिया मैंने. और किसी को और कोई डाउट है? इसको एक्चुअली में एक और तरीके से भी कर सकते हैं, if you guys want to test it. So अभी देखो जैसे हमने क्या करा इसमें, I have implemented the logic of area and population together, right? अब इसको थोड़ा कॉम्प्लिकेट कर सकते हैं इस कोड को. इस कोड को हम ये कर सकता हूँ, जैसे सपोज मैं पहले कोड में बनाता हूँ, जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल आई हैव रिटन select. So I've just copied this entire thing for now. Okay, so select name, population, area from world where, in this I'm gonna write only one condition for now. So this, so I've written one, this is for my area, okay, and again I'm gonna write another query for population. So in this case I'm gonna write it for population, okay, this is fine. And now I'm just gonna comment this for now and run it like this. So I have two different statements now, okay. So this is my first statement and this is my second statement, right? And in this case all of the individual where conditions are being filtered out. So basically first is for area and the second is for population, right? Can I do like this? Can I just write a union in between? We have learned about union and union all, right? So union basically where जहाँ पे ये फिल्टर मीट करेंगे, जहाँ पे ये दोनों, जहाँ पर आपके ये कंडीशन जो इस फर्स्ट में है और इसमें सेकंड में है ये इक्वली ट्रू होगा, right? I can do that also. I can just write a union in between these two, and then at the end I'm gonna write a semicolon and then say to run this. I could see even this stands valid here. Let's try to run it. Yeah, even this is good, right? So again guys, I just complicated a code a bit. Okay, this is not necessary, right? This is not necessary. Again, there are multiple ways of solving the same problem, right? So I just used a very simpler way of solving it in the previous example. So I just took all the conditions where I have, so whatever I wanted to implement together, right? But, my bad, yeah. right? But here in this case, I use a union condition to implement it, right? So like I use the condition separately. I created two different view tables. So this is my view table 1, this is my view table 2, and then I can just do a union on top of that. Why not? Right. So again, a simple way. Again, guys, see, there are multiple ways of solving the same problem. I've been telling you this for quite some time, right? So there are multiple ways of solving the same problem, right? It's just how you look at it, right? Maybe I look the problem in a different way. You look the problem in a different way. So there are multiple ways of solving the same problem, and none of the approaches are wrong. Trust me on that. None of the approaches are wrong. No approach is wrong. No output, no query is wrong. Okay, it's just in some few odd cases we check how optimized my query is. That's it, and that is irrelevant while you are practicing, while you're doing this competitive programming, while you are giving the interviews. That is irrelevant. Okay, that only stands true once you are working in the business and you have millions and millions of rows, and it's taking a lot of time when you write multiple unions, multiple joins, and multiple group bys and all that, right? So that only stands true at that time. But at the time of competitive programming, when at times of interview process, it does not really make sense. So it is irrelevant. Okay. So for now, for you, every other approach is okay. Okay. So you can take any approach, whatever it is. Okay. And then because you're still learning, right? And you can always optimize your query later. You can always optimize once you have a clearer sense of what all different options are available. If you don't know what all different options are available, how can you optimize your query? You cannot optimize your query if you don't know the options, right? So always try to be smart enough while at the learning process. So do not run around here and there. Do not be confused by the jargons. Okay. So try to practice based on your understanding, based on your knowledge, and then look for your optimization later point of time. Cool. Makes sense. Easy, clear, making sense, guys. So I hope the previous question was actually a good one. I think the taxi use case. And then this one was comparatively way easier than that. So, but again, every question stands at equal importance, right? So that's, you have to respect every other question. Cool. Great, guys, making sense. And any suggestions, any comments on yes or no? If you're comfortable with the queries, comfortable with the problem statements which we solved today. Cool. So if things are fine, then we can wrap up for the day, guys. I think we did a good set of questions today. So let's meet each other tomorrow, and tomorrow we'll be going live 10 p.m. not a.m. guys. Do not forget, we are not meeting each other tomorrow morning. So we'll be seeing each other or tomorrow evening. So we'll be going live at 10 p.m. tomorrow. Okay, so towards the later half of our day. So I have some occupancy in the morning. So let's meet each other on Sunday, tomorrow, 10 p.m. Okay, so we'll go live and we'll solve some other problem statements. Okay, so let's meet each other tomorrow, 10 p.m. Great. So with this, guys, let's wrap up. Again, if anybody has any last moment questions, they can always ask that, or else I think we are good to close our session for the day. So with this, I would always say thank you so much for being so patient and listening to me on the call and asking the right questions. So if anybody has any further questions, so do not hesitate, guys. It's not about me talking here. It should be you understanding the problem. And if you have any understanding issues, do let me know that. So I'm happy to cover those. Great. So with this, thank you so much, guys, and give your entire day back, so you can have your weekend enjoy. So it's a festive day any day. So Merry Christmas to one and all, and have a good day ahead with your family and the friends. Right. So thank you so much, guys. See you tomorrow, 10 p.m. Bye bye.